Welcome everyone to Red Rock Chess. Today we're going to be going over how you guys can stop losing when you guys are playing chess. This video is an instructional video of how to play chess, what moves you should be thinking about, what pieces you should be moving more than others, and how to start developing your chess game. So let's get right into this game. We are going to be analyzing a high-level game between two players. We will start at the beginning. And if you guys are new, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you guys want content weekly of how to improve your chess game. Also, make sure to like and subscribe. It is really appreciated and helps us grow the game of chess. So let's get started with this white pieces making the move to e4, which black does counter by playing the move d6. So this is called the Perk defense, the point of white putting his pawns to the center is to capture the center of the board. And if you guys are new to chess, the whole point of chess is to try and take advantage of space. It's to take make sure that you can get your opponent's king in a weak spot and deliver checkmate. And so putting the pawn in the center of the board sets up white for a good game and is allowing a lot of movement for the bishops to be open right here. You can see the bishops have the diagonals open. They both also have the ability to move the knights out and start developing all their pieces. And so black notices that this pawn right here is undefended, so he brings out his knight in order to attack it, and white promptly brings his knight out to defend it. There is opportunities of moving it instead, but this is just a better move because it develops a piece and you get to still maintain your threat in the center of the board. And so black right here pushes his pawn to kind of create a threat right here, hoping that it gets taken so that he could take back, and it's just an overall solid move to fight for the center. It also prevents that makes this square a weakness for white. And so white wants to create some strengthness into the center of the board, and so that's why he also develops his knight. So it's a great overall move, fighting for the center of the board in the beginning parts of the game. And the reason why this is such a great move right here is because it allows him to start developing his pieces. He's also looking at bringing his bishop out here shortly. White is going to be looking at bringing up their bishop to the g5 square, also looking at bringing his bishop to the f4 square to start developing. And that's exactly what white does in this position. He develops, and this makes it an easy opportunity for white to start castling while still maintaining some good threat opportunities here shortly. And black will just have to look at bringing his knight out. He also can look at doing a couple different things to bring his pieces into the game. And so black moves bishop to e7, and the point of this move is to not only defend some pieces here in the center, but it's, like I said, just a castle. And both players decided to castle right here. Generally speaking, you always want to try and castle your king within the first 10 moves of the game. That is just going to set you up to help win more games, especially if you're newer. And castling is when you switch the king and the rook, and both move over 2 squares. And when you long castle with the queen side rook, the king moves over to the left and the rook just goes on the other side. So in that case, it moves one further. So both sides castle, and white just shifts over their rook to the middle of the board. And this is a very strong move because the rooks are really strong attackers, especially on the center file. So if you ever have the opportunity to meet your rooks in the center of the board, this is generally stronger. And the purpose of this move is to stop the development of white's bishop coming out to a very powerful square and just creating like a strong a strong attack on black. So he puts the pawn out just to kind of deflect that, also to create an escape square if the king ever does need it. So great move. And a4 is played just to create some counterplay on this queen side of the board, and also looking at some potential threats, but nothing too crazy as of right now. And the point of this move is to stop the pawn from advancing, creating a weakness on the queen side. And same move right here. If black ever does decide to move, they don't want black's bishop coming in. And this is just a very good general move. Whenever you decide to castle, generally speaking, it is a very good thing to push this pawn up because it's a double move. It protects this very square from the knight hopping in, the bishop coming in, and just a lot of good moves. And then it also creates an escape route if the king ever does need it. And so the rook shifts over to e8 to, like I said, attack on the e file whenever it's necessary. It also defends this pawn whenever this bishop comes out of the way. And so this bishop decides to come into the game. It's just really good. You always want to be able to connect your rooks. That is a very powerful thing in chess. Whenever you have the opportunity to connect your rooks, make sure that they're always being able to be connected on the back rank as fast as you can. That means developing your pieces, putting them in good squares, setting yourself up to hopefully deliver checkmate and create some checkmating tactics. And so with that being said, black decides to move their bishop back out. And the point of this move is to create an open line for the bishop to start defending pieces. It also allows for more pieces to be developed so the queen can start coming out and attacking and moves like that. And so the purpose of this move right here for the queen, he is looking at potentially bringing his queen up and over to start lining it up for the king and starting to create some attacks. And this is when black decides to capture in the center of the board, and especially when his queen is in a square where it's not a very powerful place. That's exactly when you want to start capturing, because then you are looking at potentially doing an attack on the center of the board, and it is captured by the bishop. And now that there's two defenders, there's nothing that he can do to take, and so the knight moves to the center of the board to be able to create a strong threat. Because if the bishop or the knight were to ever take, the whole point is just to have a pawn taking it back to create a stable center, and then looking at bringing the bishop out and bringing the queen out and asserting dominance for the black pieces. And so it is taken back like the pawn, which I mentioned before, and this creates an open file right here, an open D file. And so the point of this is that both players are going to now try to start capturing the center with this very powerful D file. And like I mentioned previously, white's purpose is to attack the king and start to create some counterplay. And this move right here is to be able to defend this pawn right here. It's also looking at bringing the bishop out, connecting the rooks, and if it ever needs to be, this queen probably might shift over here to be able to look at the king, give an eye on the king. And both players start making some very great development moves. The point of this move right here from e1 to e3 is potentially looking at bringing his rook into the game, starting to create some very powerful attacks, and even potentially looking at doubling up if need be coming into the future. And this is a really good move because it's asking this bishop to be traded off. Whenever their bishop is eyeing your king, it's usually a good thing if your bishop is not doing as good to try and trade him off, especially if it's to your advantage. And what I mean by to your advantage is if your bishop is not going to be in an optimal square like theirs is currently, it's an okay idea to look at trading pieces to start clearing out the good pieces on their end, and then start developing your pieces to be in strong squares as well. And so obviously white is not going to want to trade their bishop, but black's not ready to take quite yet. If they don't have to take on white's terms, they will not, and that's a great move. And so what black decides to do is they decide to move their king out of the way, and you may ask why, and it's because there is a huge amount of threats coming towards the black king, with the white bishop and the white queen. And it's just a good move to get out of any potential threats. And this move right here is just getting the knight off the side of the board. Whenever you have knights on these outside squares, try and move them out as fast as possible. There are very minimal times where you will need to have your knights on the outside of the board. Try and have them in the inside of the board where they can create more threats, especially if you just look at the opportunities where this knight can jump. It has a lot more. If it was right here, it would have very less opportunities to move around the board. And so with that being said, black decides to capture, and it is taken back, and this pawn is pushed forward to create a threat. It is very well backed up. There is not much that can be done about this because there is multiple defenders of this pawn. So white has to move back, and black just advances onward. And the point of this is if you take, then there always is just taking right here back, and then you're also looking at shifting your rook over and then having multiple rooks on that file. And so also great move by black right here. The point of this move is to create a threat, pinning it to the king, and potentially looking at taking, and then eventually, if white blunders, taking it with a discovered check. But white is really smarter than that, and so they notice that, and so they just slide the king over. Great move by white, and now finally black captures it back, and this is a really good move. So white captures this pawn back, and they're looking at trying to check the king, making that king slide up, and then start to create some more counterplay by either just moving the rooks up potentially when there is a chance, moving the queen over whenever that opportunity arises as well. And this is a really smart move. And the reason why this is a smart move is because if if white takes this piece right here, thinking that it is an easy win, then they will be wrong. There's just so many opportunities for black to just punish the king right here with any mistaken opportunities. There is things like queen to g3, and then potentially looking at bringing this rook down and checking the king and just creating some threats. So it was taken, check was given, and the reason why check was given was because once this rook is taken, there is some brutal threats coming for white. And the only legal move for white is to take this to take this rook. And you can see the score right now is 9 points of material above for white. That is a whole queen. And now you may be wondering, why did black just give away a rook? As a couple moves ago, it made no sense. It's just a free rook. And after taking, white could be really foolish, thinking that their game is theirs. And after this move right here, you can see the king is absolutely trapped, and this is where it all goes wrong for white. They are thinking in their head, what did I just do? I have no ways to defend it. And the reason why is that when the rooks get shifted up at the end of the day, there is nothing that they can do because checkmate is just one move away, and this is game. And so I want you guys to be thinking, how can I be in a situation where sacrificing pieces could be to my benefit. And as you can see, he not only sacrificed a knight, but he sacrificed his rook. And in this situation, you guys need to be thinking at this time, what are my opportunities to be winning material? And in this case, they had the opportunity to be taking this pawn right here with his rook. But don't always take the first move. You always want to be looking, is there a better move? Can I develop my bishop? Can I be pinning that to the king while simultaneously using my rook to attack? And that's exactly what the red rock sub did. And so make sure to look for these opportunities. Once it's taken, look for these. Take some time when you are playing your games. Make sure that you are using your time, and don't only look at opportunities to defend even when you see he's putting you in check, but look for opportunities to be putting your opponent in check. So like for example, this right here, this move is a fantastic move. Once it is taken, moving the rook, taking the rook, moving the queen to a really good square, threatening mate in one, which is inevitable, and delivering checkmate. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys do want to watch more content like this, please leave in the comments what you guys are wanting to learn, and subscribe to follow for more videos. And I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Thank you for watching Red Rock Chess.